Hi and welcome back to my channel. Today we're gonna talk about what it means to be a classically trained musician. If it means that we are just destined to play classical music and never even try anything else. If it means we can't understand anything else but classical music. If it means we only listen to classical music. Who are these classically trained musicians? That's what I'm gonna answer from my experience, at least, to you today. If you're new to my channel, hi, my name is Heline. I'm a classically trained flute player. I've been teaching flute playing for over 10 years. I am a recording artist and I make YouTube videos. I arrange stuff. I just enjoy music and it's my career. So hey, how are you doing? So what is a classically trained flute player? Here, if you start flute playing in a music institute, it usually automatically means you are starting the classical training. Obviously, there's the basics you need to come familiar with, and that might use some different material than just classical stuff, children's songs and things like that. But in general, you are getting to play classical repertoire very early on, like classical etudes, classical pieces, scales. All those scales are important, which kind of ever player you are, though. Way after I have done my basic flute studies, improvisation was also introduced to the classical study plan, basically. So nowadays, if you start flute playing in a music institute, there's already some improvisation there, which is great, in my opinion. I love that. When I was a kid playing the flute, that definitely was not something we had. However, part of the training or like part of the study program in general, we had to participate a weekly orchestra session. For wind instrument players, that meant wind orchestra, and for string players, that meant string orchestra. Wind orchestra was great. We played a lot of non-classical stuff. Actually, I think we never played anything classical there, now that I think of it. So basically, it was always tunes from TV, movies. It was jazzy tunes, cartoons, bluesy tunes. It was the kind of like different world for us classical students. And we also had some pop jazz students there, for example, the drum players. And so that was absolutely great. I really, really love that kind of like different world. However, I heard that string orchestra played mostly classical stuff, and I always felt a bit bad for them for not getting the chance to step out of the classical world. So when it comes to the music theory, the approach to music analysis and arranging and all of that is based on the classical foundation, the rules from classical music in general. The music history only goes through the classical music history and the different styles and different eras in classical music history. We don't do a crossover to jazz or blues or anything like that. It's just classical. With all of these different pieces, like classical playing, classical theory, classical history, when you are done with your basic music training, you should be able to kind of like understand the music from different eras, not very deeply, but just have an understanding of the music from different eras and how to perform and interpret that music. This is the basic level of music training that will give you the tools, and you should be on the level high enough to be able to pursue music even further. And by this, I mean you could apply for second degree training, which is similar level to college, I think in US, kinda. or to apply to university or University of Applied Sciences here in Finland. What do I think about the classical training model? If you think the part before the college, I just feel it's not for everyone to pursue classical music from age, I don't know, 6, 7, 8. It might seem really irrelevant after some point because you're not playing fun stuff like TV music or just some music you know. You're just playing those classical things and just being in that classical bubble, so to speak. I think for me, the huge help was the wind orchestra, where I was able to step out of the classical bubble and enjoy the other genres out there, even if not as a solo player, but as part of a bigger orchestra. So most of the music institutes in Finland are following this certain music study plan, and they are getting government support for doing that to help people get the basic music training in Finland. So this way also the price of starting music as a hobby is not that high. Obviously it depends on the instrument you pick, but the yearly costs are not that high compared to private teachers or private music institutes in general. In my opinion, there should be some kind of a hybrid model that government would also recognize as one of those supported study programs in general. I know the end goal is to give the ability to continue music studies in higher levels, but the truth is so little amount of those students continue that far. This kind of music training program makes it so hard for me to ever even consider starting to work in a music institute that needs to follow this study program. For me, it's important to take a student as they are. It's important to keep them interested in music. It's important for them to kind of feel like they are achieving something and they are learning something by doing something they absolutely love. And sometimes it just isn't the classical music they love. When it comes to the college and university level training, I feel like it's really important also to give the possibility to explore outside the classical bubble. I don't know how it works on other places, but here in Finland, studying is actually free here. And the study time is limited, and you can only have certain amount of flute lessons during your time at the university or University of Applied Sciences. There's not that much room to kind of go outside the classical bubble, unfortunately. For those who graduate from classical music training, they don't really have that many options open to them. Orchestra positions are extremely hard to land. You need to be absolutely the best. There are not that many orchestras here in Finland in the end, and the orchestra spots are often even filled from people that come from outside the Finland, and that's just normal. Another option is to start teaching and do that. But again, teaching doesn't really work for everyone. And if you're very limited in your training, although classical training gives you so much, but if you're very limited to that one specific genre, it's going to be hard to kind of even think about doing anything else. You can do so much more than just teach and fight for orchestra positions, really. That's just my opinion, really, though. The truth is that there are so many opinions among the classically trained people. There are classically trained people who consider everything else is just trash. And there are classically trained musicians who do classical music, and they do jazz, and they do whatever they want to. And that is the beauty of it. But I think it should be implemented in the training from the very early on, that it's not limited to that one genre. It's so much more. If you have classical music training and you are living outside of Finland, let me know what kind of experience you had with it. Is it similar to what we have here? I would really love to hear your comments on that. I just opened a merch store. There's a link on the description box below. We have some really great prints there for music lovers, but also products with my logo on them. So please go check it out if you're interested in some cool prints. I am planning on more content about my music background and my journey in being entrepreneur in music and all of that, and how I've gotten to here where I am and how I ended up doing what I'm doing. If there's something specific you would like to hear, please comment below this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you on my next video. Bye bye.